What is up, everybody? I know it's the afternoon, well, at least that's when I'm filming, but never too late or early for coffee. Just emotional support beverage. So today we've got something fun planned. This is part number 2 of the Rough to Riches series. Today what we're going to do is take some slabs that we cut and turn them into cabs. Get slabs to cabs. And then it's the riches part where we put it in jewelry. But not in this episode. This episode is straight taking this fella. Right, hang on. Let's get some light on this. Something like this. Oh yeah. And turning it into a polished stone. So I've got some down here. I'm going to get some close-ups on that. But before, if you haven't already, there's a little red button down there that says subscribe. If you hit that subscribe button, it's cool. It's cool to hit that subscribe button. And there's a little bell next to that too. That little bell is going to give you notification when I make a new video. So if you want to know when I make a new video, when to check out the channel, something new's on there, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Honestly, I feel like this. Let me go ahead and earn it. Let's get in on this stuff. Let's look at all this stuff. And if you think I earn it, hit that subscribe button. If you don't, I'll try better next time. So, if you haven't already, besides that little subscribe button down there, check out lionpunchforge.com. Also, let me know down in the comments whether or not you like this lapidary thing, because I'm thinking about doing a lot more of it on the channel, because there's some out there, but I see a lot of people, it's okay, it's good, it's fun, a lot of views, a lot of good information, but I like to make it interesting, and I like that I can take a piece of treasure that I find in the woods, hunting, looking, and bring it back to the garage, the shop, the studio, whatever you want to call it, slab it, cab it, and set it in jewelry. So if you like this kind of stuff, leave me a comment, share the video all over the place. If not, then, you know, like I said, I'll work harder next time. So without too much, we're going to get into what exactly it takes to take a slab and make a cab. So check this out. Alright, here in front of us we have our candidates, our slab candidates for making cabs. And you can see this is the saw cut. It's nice and smooth. Lets me have something very cool to work with. But we're going to have to take this flat and turn it into a dome, like a cabochon. So cabochons, basically, you have your dome, and that's it. So I have to find out exactly what I'm going to need to do in order to take this slab and cut it just like that. So I have now, let me darken my white balance here so you guys can see a little bit better. I'm going to need to basically remove a bunch of this material and form it into whatever shape I'm gonna go ahead and want to make it into. So there are a lot of different shapes. There's all sorts of templates, and I'll show those in a minute. But not all cabochons are exactly alike. Not all cabochons are the same shape. Essentially, what is the same is this kind of rounded dome. Now, one of the hard things to do on a cabochon is, let's move this paper up a little bit, is taking, for example, you start to create your dome, and you end up with kind of a more of a flat. So on the rounded wheels, it's relatively difficult to get a good polish in the center when it's more flat. You can, it's just more difficult. And then you can vary the dome height. You can vary all different sorts of things when it comes to making your own cabochons. Then later on we can go into exactly what it takes to rose cut a cabochon in another video. But for now, essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing this. We're going to take a flat piece of slab and create a domed cabochon. Alright, we've got some tools of the trade here when it comes to making cabochons. We've got a bunch of these gem templates. So, common size gems. And the fun thing is, I can take this Pepetools oval disc cutter. Oh, would you look at that? That oval disc cutter is the same size as an oval cabochon. How about this guy here? This one, oh look at that, it's the same size. Weird, it's almost like we did that for a reason. So, if you have the oval disc cutter, just know that they are the same shape, same size as common shaped oval cabochons. Who knew? So you have this template. You've got squares, eggs, crosses, squares, more ovals, and then once you start getting into a little bit more I guess, non-traditional, you start getting into your freeforms. So these guys are pretty traditional. Hearts, ovals, squares, kind of a cushion type shape there. Then you have your more non-traditional, more new type of cab shapes. These ones are what would normally be referred to as freeform. So what I'm going to do is, these slabs are not quite thick enough for larger cabs like this, especially if I want a nice dome. So what I'm going to do is probably pick out a couple common shapes to do. Maybe do a square, pick out some oval. Put these guys aside for now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cabs and I'm going to just give them a little wet down with my rag, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this so you guys can see it. So what I'm selecting here is I'm looking for areas where there is no cracks and I have good color variation. Ideally, I'd be looking for pictures. So, let's see. I would take my template and zoom out a little bit. Let's wet that. And I'd be looking for areas that would be kind of a nice, picturesque looking scene. Zoom out a little bit more so you guys can see this. Get a little bit more light on the situation. That should be better. Alright, so essentially what we're going to do is I'm going to start looking and outlining areas that I want to look at making into cabs, and in order to do that I'm going to use a piece of aluminum, a sharpened aluminum rod, and that's going to be basically what I use to make the outline on my cab. we're at our 8-inch saw, and I'm going to use this saw to cut out our cabochon shapes. So I'm going to try and take as few passes on the blade as I can to try and get this cut out, and then I will do some roughing around the outside to make it so I don't have to do so much grinding on the wheels. So you're not going to be able to hear exactly what's going on right in here, but I assure you it's cutting and you'll see the finished product. So I'm going to grab some hearing protection and then I'll let you guys watch the show. Alright, so what you just saw was me on the trim saw, and I was taking our little lovelies here and zoom in on them. You'll get some close-ups if you haven't already. But I took a little lovely here and I've cut them to a rough shape. Some of them I went a little past where I should, so I reoriented the design a little bit and everything will be fine. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do something that not every lapidary does, but I like doing it, and I'll tell you why. So when I'm over at the polishing and grinding wheels, you're going to see me holding on to a stick. That is called a dop stick. So a dop stick holds your stone and allows you to roll it through your fingers. So if, for example, this was my dop stick, my stone would be attached to the end of it, and I would be able to roll my stone around both hands, move it in a circular fashion along the wheel to polish it and or preform it, shape it. And what this allows you to do is have better control over what the stone is doing. Your fingers aren't super close to the wheel, and sometimes they can get you. And if you do too much of it, too much grinding on with your fingers, you'll grind your fingertips off, and then it's just uncomfortable and not so friendly, and nobody wants that. Just got that not so comfortable feeling. So what a dop stick allows you to do is attach to the stone with super glue. I like super glue or dop wax or something like that. You melt it put it on your stone, and then you can hold your stone and grind it. Now, one of the problems that people have with lapidary wheels is pushing too hard. Let the diamond do the work. It's not gonna like snap your fingers and have a finished cabochon. Oh, it's going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of patience, but the result is absolutely amazing, especially if you can get a fantastic polish on it, and I'll show you how I do it. So essentially what you're going to see over there is a stick, or I use a large diameter nail, super glue the top, put the stone on it, let it dry, let it give, and then I can grind on it, and I'm not going to have any problem with the stone falling off or anything like that. Just make sure your glue dries. Then I'm going to carry that glued stone on the dop stick, or in this case a nail, and all the way through the process, and then I'll heat up part of the nail with a torch and pull the stone off. It makes that noise too. Yeah. I'll show you me dopping one of the stones, probably the one I'm going to work on first and finish for this project on camera, but I am going to do it with all 6 of these, just not on camera because it's a lot of repetition. But you'll get to see me take one stone all the way through, and that's the stone I'm going to set in a piece of jewelry. So let me go ahead and grab that stuff, and we will dop a rock. Alright, large nail, cabochon rough. You get a close-up of that once I get going. But what I'm going to do is take my super glue. I'm going to put some on the end of the nail. Just a bit to cover the top of the nail. And then I'm going to take my cabochon here, and I'm going to attach it to the back of the cabochon within the area that I want to grind. I'm going to give it a good push, and then now, like magic, like super glue, I have a rock on a stick. It's like a corn dog, only you can't eat it. So let's head over to the grinder, and what you're going to see me do is start off with a 360 grit hard wheel. That hard wheel is to outline the shape of the stone, and then once I outline the shape of the stone, I'm going to start beveling that. So I'm going to bevel all the sides of the stone and start rounding that over, and then once I get it rounded over, once it's formed to where I want, I'm going to move it through a 600 grit, a 1200 grit, a 3000 grit wheel, and then I'm going to polish it on a leather wheel that is charged with serenium oxide and a 15,000 K diamond paste. I like that. Probably one of my favorite polishes. And then we'll go ahead and see what this guy looks like, all funned up and ready to set in this episode of Rough to Riches. So here's our finished cab. Nice oval. It looks a little oblong just because of the angle I'm filming here, but I can assure you it's oval. Has that nice color variation. And as I gleam the light across it, look for scratches. You won't be able to see any. This one right here, this little guy, that's not really a scratch, it's more a smudge. So the idea is that you take care of every single possible scratch at a different level. You saw me on the leather wheel as I was polishing. I went back to 1200 because there was a scratch on the top. So I went back to 1200, checked it, went back to 1200, checked it, and then went back to the 3000, and then finally back to polish once that was all gone. But this is essentially what you get when you polish. Hope you guys come back for the next episode of Rough to Riches. Also, stay tuned. We're going to be doing a slab to cab series, kind of ongoing as well. The first one is going to be a joint collaboration between me and Charity at Ghost Town Metalworks. So, check that out as well, and thanks again for watching. You guys are amazing. So's this rock. Gem.